Hey everybody, hi particularly to Lewis. This is a video response to your video to Al-Qaeda, letter to Al-Qaeda from America. First off, I want to say that I completely agree with you with the war in Iraq. I think we need to stick it out there, and I don't know why the American people really want to just give up. It's ridiculous. I think it's just as important, really, as World War II, because there's a fight for freedom and democracy and human rights and liberty all across the world. And, it's basically a fight for the values of our country. So I don't really understand why the American people wants to give up so easily. But I have a couple ideas in terms of that. Probably we need more troops. The surge is great, 20,000 troops. It's doing good. It is reducing violence. I don't think it's doing enough, and I don't think there's this crucial component of the strategy that's missing. First off, we have a whole bunch of soldiers, 100,000 in Japan and Germany combined, that are sitting there basically doing nothing. They're not fighting anybody. There's no threat in Germany. They're not going to go all fascist on us or anything. So there's no really reason to have 53,000 people in Germany not doing anything. So we can employ those troops. And we probably need to increase the size of the military as well, probably by 100 to 120,000 soldiers, particularly in the Army, because the other sections aren't overstretched. But we need more soldiers in Iraq. I would suggest 40 to 50,000 more in Iraq and another 20,000 in Afghanistan. And that number in each place would finally enable us to, well, in Iraq, secure it, finally, completely secure it, and in Afghanistan, completely drive out the Taliban permanently. In the case of Iraq, there's a major problem, and that's the 30 to 40% unemployment rate, which is the depths of the Great Depression. We all know what happened during the Great Depression. Adolf Hitler was elected Chancellor of Germany, and then obviously we all know what happened then. So massive economic problems and unemployment leads to sort of hopelessness, which is a breeding ground for extremism and radicalism and hatred and violence and terror. And so what is necessary is to bring that down. I think the best way to do that is to invest in the Iraqi economy heavily. I mean, $30 billion a year, $33 billion a year is a third of their economy that we can invest, and that's not a huge investment on the part of the United States, and it could easily employ most of the people who are unemployed and bring the unemployment rate down to below 10%, and almost completely dry up the pool of people who would join these organizations in the first place, because the United States would really be helping. It would provide security. It would be providing enormous economic benefits. It would provide enormous amounts of money to foster their economy. And so I think it's important that we do that. I think it's critical for the war effort that we do. We put more troops in, and we employ most of the people who are unemployed and heavily invest in their economy. So I agree completely that the war is necessary. I disagree with the part of your video that seems to insinuate that Islam is a violent religion. It's not any more violent than Judaism or Christianity is. The first half or so, of the Quran is actually quite peaceful, whereas the latter half, after Muhammad goes to Medina and has to flee to Medina, that part becomes more violent, more aggressive, but the beginning parts are much more peaceful. In the Quran, you can pick up, sections that advocate peace and, tolerance and everything, and other sections that are quite violent and advocate intolerance. And the same thing can happen, in the Bible, the Old Testament. You got Joshua, who slaughters an entire city, men, women, and children. The punishment for breaking most of the Ten Commandments, if not all, I'm not absolutely certain, but most of them, is death. If someone asks you to go worship other gods, you're supposed to, basically, if one of your friends asks you to convert to a different religion or whatever, you're supposed to slaughter them, kill them. You're supposed to be the one who stabs them, and then you're supposed to burn all their stuff in town square. That's in Deuteronomy. I can't remember the exact location, but it is in Deuteronomy. Anyway, those are horrible, completely unacceptable things in our modern world. And no one advocates them, except possibly some crazy people. Super extremists, fundamentalist crazies. The same thing with Islam. No one in Islam, no normal Muslim, wants to kill everyone in America and wants to kill everyone who isn't Muslim and most Muslims don't want to conquer the whole world and cover it in Islamic Sharia law because it's quite oppressive. So something under the command of the 12 Commandments, the 10 Commandments, something with those kind of punishments would also be quite oppressive. So Islam isn't fundamentally violent. People choose it to be violent. They pick out passages and then use those verses of the Quran to further their fundamentalist crazy campaign against everything that America stands for. It's not that Islam is fundamentally evil or violent. It is that people are violent, and it's that these crazies, well, maybe not particularly crazies, but effectively insane individuals hate us so much that they're willing to pervert their own religion entirely and twist it and use small little snippets to create a doctrine of hate and violence and intolerance, which simply isn't there. The overall tone, vast majority of Muslims today aren't like that. They don't believe in that. They don't want that, just like most Christians don't want the punishment for stealing to be death. They don't. So, I think it is really counterproductive to say that Islam is somehow fundamentally violent, because then essentially what you're advocating is a battle against Islam, the religion, and then you have 1.1 billion people against you, and now are facing an enemy that is enormously larger because you just radicalized most Muslims into believing that the United States is a bigoted, hateful, intolerant country that lumps enormous numbers of people together with a certain small number of crazy people. I mean, people don't lump the whole pro-life movement in with the crazy people who bomb abortion clinics, so you can't do that with an entire religion either, particularly one where 99% of the people are completely normal people and don't want violence and don't believe in and, in fact, hate the people who are perverting their religion into a doctrine of hate. So, I hope that, that somehow this has been informative. Thank you, everyone who watches, for watching this video. Next time, not exactly sure what I'll do. It'll probably be either illegal immigration or the fair tax plan. So watch out for that. I hope you have a good day, everyone, and bye.